Hello the internet, welcome to another CNRL Library Innovation Studio home workshop. Today we're starting a series of home workshops where we're going to show you how you can grow vegetables in your own garden. There's going to be lots of things to do. We have to choose and dig our plot or fill up some pots with earth instead. We'll show you how to build a bean pole, where to choose to plant plants, how to build your own watering can, how to build your own little tool shed, how to grow strawberries, beans, lettuces, cucumbers, all sorts of yummy stuff. We'll show you how to build a scarecrow, and to make it up to the birds, we'll also build a bird bath and a bird nest shop so they can build their nests in springtime. The reason we're doing these workshops is not just to teach you how to grow your own vegetables, not just to get you outside getting some fresh air and good exercise, but also there's lots of science to be learnt. When you're outside, you are surrounded by nature, and nature is full of things to learn. The life cycle of plants, you'll learn about the weather, we'll show you how to use a compass, how to map it out, all sorts of amazing stuff over these workshops. Some of you might be wondering why we're starting this when it's still winter time. Well, there's quite a lot to do, and winter time's a great time to do it. Today we're going to be digging our first plot for the vegetable garden, and that's a lot of hard work. Now, every time we're going to do these workshops, there's a few things you need to do before you start. You need to get your sunscreen on, you need to get a hat on, you might need some sunglasses as well. Make sure you're wearing clothes that it doesn't matter if they get a bit dirty. Don't use your school shoes, don't use your work shoes. Okay, so this is a map of my garden. As you can see, I've got lots of trees that are throwing shade. Here's my orange tree, here's my wall of ivy, this is where the Innovation Studio, I do my home workshops, and this is my fence line all around. Now in here probably isn't going to be very good, there's always going to be shade underneath these trees, so I need to be out in one of these open patches. Now the thing is, these trees are going to throw shade in some direction as the sun moves through the sky, but I need to work out where the sun is going to be. A north-facing garden is best. That way you get plenty of morning and midday sun. But which way is north? I don't know on my map, so it's a bit hard to tell. We need a compass. What you're going to need is a bowl, a piece of paper or a leaf. You need a magnet and a paperclip. First of all, straighten your paperclip out as best you can. Doesn't need to be an especially long paperclip, mine's quite large so you can see what I'm doing. Then get your magnet. And what you're going to do is stroke 50 times along one end of your bit of metal, making sure to lift the magnet off every time you do it. Once you've done that, turn your magnet over and stroke the other end in the other direction. Then put water in your bowl, get your piece of paper and just fold it along the middle so there's a crease. Flatten out a bit, that's just so we can put our bit of metal in. Carefully put it on the water and just leave it to spin. Make sure you're not near anything metal and wait for it to stop spinning as it aligns itself with the planet's magnetic field. And there we go. I'll get out my compass to check. They are pointing the same way. Now we know this side is east because the sun has risen from this side this morning and is casting shadows. You can see the shadow of my hand there. So we know east is over here. We know west is over this side. So north is there. It's not that way, it's that way. North, east, south, west. My map is pointing in the right direction compared to my garden. We now know that north is over here and south is over there. So I'm going to draw my compass on my map. So what does this tell me? The sun is going to rise over here and it's going to move through the sky and set over here, shining down. So these trees are going to be producing shade in this direction in the morning, spreading into this direction in the afternoon. I can mark that on all my trees. So this area is way too shady. This area here gets shade in the morning. This area here gets shade in the evening. Again, shade in the morning, shade in the evening. This isn't too bad a spot. These trees aren't throwing any shade in this direction. And in the afternoon, the shade from here will stop my plants from getting too hot. Plenty of sun in the midday. There's no shade being thrown down here at all. So I reckon my veggie patch should be in this area. It's great that we know where we're going to build our veggie patch, but what are we going to put in it? Any tall plants want to be right back here, so tall plants will throw shade over here. If we put tall plants on the front, it'll throw shade over our whole veggie patch. We don't want that. I'm going to put a bean pole in the middle. Now you might think that's a bit odd, but some plants want a little bit of shade. So I can plant my lettuces there. They'll love a bit of shade. I have my tomatoes near the front, my zucchini. My beans are going to be growing up here. We've got a rough plan, that's great. Let's get digging. I'm using some pool noodles here just to roughly sketch out mine. You could use a tape measure, you could use bits of wood, doesn't really matter, so long as you know you can reach that middle. So all you do is you put your spade on the ground, push it in a little bit with your foot, give it a little bit of a wiggle. All we really want to do is make a line on the ground and do that all the way along. So I'm warm enough from sketching that out that I need to take my first layer off. Okay, and get rid of these pool noodles now, and it's time to start digging up my square. So, starting where I was before, I'm going to put my spade in a little bit deeper this time. I'm going to go along 2 lengths, and then I'm going to turn into the patch along 2 lengths. What I'm doing is I'm making a square, and now I'll try and get this out by angling the spade in, giving it a bit of a push like that. Do that all the way around the square. In, angle, push. And as you can see, the grass is starting to lift out. And the reason I'm doing the square this small is because this is basically the size that my spade can cope with lifting one big lump of grass and dirt. There we go, that's all the way around. Just waggle my spade underneath. Look at that, there we go. I wonder what that was we were hitting. Big stone or something? Whoop, what's this? It's a good idea to wear gloves when you're digging. A, it helps your hands on the spade, and B, if you find rusty nails or bits of broken glass or things like that, you don't want to get cut. Now, it's easier to get a little over-ambitious. If you're beginning to get a bit tired, don't go along the whole length. Start to turn this way to make a square, and then continue down. So if at some point you really can't do any more, at least you've got a good shape and a good sized vegetable patch. It was just one long thin row. That's probably not very, very good. So I'm going to start going this way. I'm going to try and do my whole thing, but you never know. I might get out of puff. Okay, done. Someone's very kindly bought me a cup of tea to celebrate the end of the beginning of the dig. So I've cut out pretty much everything I meant to. May not have gone quite as long, but definitely went as wide and no wider than we initially planned. So that's good. Now the next thing we're going to have to do is weed this, because although we've got rid of the top layer of grass, there's going to be plenty of grass roots coming up. So we're going to dig through with our spoon, just turning the dirt over and pulling out anything we find. Because now grass is now a weed, because a weed is something that's growing where you don't want it to grow. We don't want grass growing in our vegetable plot. So we need to get all these grass roots out. But check the root, it's going deep into the ground. You either use your spoon or dig with your finger, just to follow that root a little bit and see if you can get it out. Otherwise it will grow back. Look at this soil, it's beautiful. It's nice and crumbly. It's moist, it's not super wet, it's not dry as dust. If yours is exceptionally pale and dry, you might want to mix some compost in with it as well. I'm surprised my dog hasn't come along and given me a hand with the digging, to be honest. Now, I don't know if you can hear, but I'm like lots of lovely birdsong around me, which is great. I love birdsong. If birdsong's not your thing, or you're just not hearing much, and you're getting a little bit bored, put some music on. Why not? No one's going to mind. The plants don't mind a little bit of music. A little dance. The main thing is you enjoy yourself, and anything you can do to make it more enjoyable, all the better. Have a little scrape. See what you can find. See, all this loose stuff doesn't really matter. This stuff is dry, dead, probably not a problem at all. Whereas this little waggly thing here, that is an established little root in the ground. Need to pull that out. I'm just chucking it away under my grass. There we go. You might find some insects. You'll probably find lots of ants running around, maybe the occasional spider, trying to work out what's going on just here, why it's all suddenly changed. Don't worry about them. Almost all the insects you're going to find here are going to be good for the earth. Leave them be, they're going to be really helpful to aerate your soil, put nutrients in your soil. Insects are good. With the spiders, if you don't bother them, they won't bother you. And there we go, all dug, all weeded, and the earth is lovely and soft and loose. We won't be planting yet, we've got lots to do before planting season comes around, but we're pretty much ready to go. If you're using pots instead, what you want to do is find some earth in your garden very much like this. Dig it up and fill your pots up with it. And as you go, make sure there's no roots in there. Now, you want pots that have got holes in the bottom, so we've got plenty of room for drainage, and you might want to put some stones in there as well, just to stop all the earth pouring straight out. So next week we're going to build a scarecrow, but we'll come back to our plot and make sure there's no more grass coming up. We'll pull that out too, just to keep on top of it, so when it's time to actually plant, we are raring to go. We hope you enjoyed this gardening workshop. Please like, share and subscribe so you and others can join us on the next CNRL Library Innovation Studio online workshop. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all the usual places at Innovation Stew or hashtag Innovation Stew. And check the Home Workshops page on innovationstew.com.au for extra resources. See you next time and happy gardening.